What's up, and welcome to the Lotus Lounge, episode 2. This week, we are talking about how we are resisting. Rest is resisting, reclaiming our right to pause. You know, it is time for us to take advantage of that right to say, no, I ain't coming, and I'm not going to do it. You know, we are being so much for so many people. I think it's really time for that. So welcome to episode 2. I am Dr. J, and I have with me my lovely friend,
Dr. LaDana.
Dr. LaDana. Hi, Dr. LaDana, and we are still waiting on Dr. Dodson. Dr. Dodson is on CPT. Many of us know what CPT is, or CFT. CFT, we sometimes call it that. But when she shows up, we'll bring her on in to the studio. But in the interim, we will go ahead and get started talking about resting is resistance. So let's just set the tone. Last week we talked about our authenticity. We talked about how difficult it is sometimes for us to remain sane and remain ourselves, our true and authentic selves in in our workplaces, in our social interactions, in our affiliations. And sometimes it does get a bit difficult. It does become stressful for us. Um, while it is important for us to be that strong Black woman, and not strong as in combative, not strong as in, ready to fight, but strong as in carrying on the burdens of everybody else as a part of what we think is our authenticity. Oftentimes we need a break. A lot of what we see about the 92%, especially after the last election, I think has a lot to do about that. And that is our resistance. We reclaim our right to pause. So let's talk about that. Rest is indeed resistance, and rest is healing. And I think it's time for that.
Oh, that's a word. The healing part.
Yeah.
Spoke to me. Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes I don't want to. Like I empathize, I sympathize with everybody's struggle, but do I want to? Like, listen, you know me. I'm gonna go to bat for my people.
Right.
If you call me, you need me to be in Dallas, the
You
flight
bet.
is an hour and a half. Let me get my bag, let me get through TSA, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
But sometimes
You
we
bet.
have to say, I'm gonna keep me posted.
Right.
I'm in prayer. My thoughts are with you, but I can't right now. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with not only how much we give to our friends and our family, how do we deal with that burnout on our jobs when we give so much to our jobs and we're so obsessed with the hustle? How do we handle that?
So for me, okay, what I hear, so it's different areas. So let's break it up into professional life and in personal life. We'll just keep it real simple like that. So for me, I was the person that if a student emailed at 7, 8 p.m., I'm right there responding. They need me right now. They don't, but that's how I feel, right? Or if one of my employees called and it's after hours. And I think I want to say probably about 2, 3 years ago, basically some stuff was kind of getting dumped on me. And I realized that I can't do all these. Like, y'all doing too much and you ain't changed my pay. So, you know what I mean? So from that perspective, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna create some boundaries. And so, but it took me just being tired, burnout, wore out, you know, my faculty are calling me because they need things. And I'm gonna show up when they need me.
Mhm.
And it's because I would want my manager to show up when I need them. And so I was that person, always, always, always available. Now, not so much. It's my boundary was if you're going to pay me for a 9 to 5, I'm going to work a 9 to 5. Now, anything extra is just because I felt like it out the kindness of my heart. And or I felt like that person needed me in that moment, right? But that's because I had it to give. If I don't have it to give, I just don't. But that was because my job was wearing me down. And plus just, other things in life. And then when it came to personal life, I'm the friend you call. Cool. You need me to show up? I'm here. You need me to pick up your kid? Cool. You need them homeschooled? Cool. I'm there. Just because when I look across my friends, they have different responsibilities than I have. Being that I'm not married, I don't have children. They typically were and have kids. So oftentimes, just needed some assistance here and there. It took a friend taking advantage of that and then not being a good friend in return for me to say, you know what? I gotta be first. If I'm available to do it, I can do it.
Are you talking about me?
No.
Okay, I just making sure because I'm like, I'm there.
Well, you know what they say down south, the hit dog will
Hit
holler.
dog. I'm like, it's not me.
No, not at all. No, this is one person in particular. And it took other friends seeing that situation play out to say, yeah, I was wondering when you was gonna get tired of it. Because they were getting a percentage of me while she got all of it. And they noticed it long before I did, but I'm like, that's my friend.
That's my friend.
So I kind of now I'm not as right there when you need me. I'm there if you need me, but I have to be available. And so at that particular time, and y'all know what this feels like, that particular time I was going through that situation with a friend, I actually was I wasn't working on my dissertation, I was defending my dissertation. So when she reached out and asked for assistance, I told her, hey, I really don't have the time right now, but let me see what I can do. And we came up with a whole game plan. And it was just like, you know what? It don't matter about your PhD, girl. I need you now. And that was how it came off. Of course, she didn't say that, but that was how it was.
Look, I'm going to say, I know she didn't say that.
No, not at all. But the action said that.
Oh, yeah.
The actions absolutely said that. And so for me, it was like, what? But if I call you, you don't pick up. I text you, you don't respond. I need you, you're not there. But yet, this is the level of friendship you want. And so that just opened my eyes to be like, you know what? I have to be available for me to be able to assist my friends too. I'm going to be there. Maybe not exactly how you want, but that situation opened my eyes as far as personal and friendship. So when it comes to me resting and relaxing, it's based on what I have to give at that time and not necessarily what you need.
Right. And I can think of one particular situation. Let me just level set, give you some history. Lotus Lounge started as Big Life Live, and the group that I was with originally, there was one particular person in that group. When I tell you, if she called me in the middle of the night, I was coming. She went through a tragic death in her family with her husband. I was there. She went through a tragic accident with her son. He ended up in a hospital having to have reconstructive surgery. I was there. Anytime her kids needed anything, if she was out of town, I was it. I was the point. I was their emergency contact. It was that deep, and I was gonna do that. When I had brain surgery is deep. I was terrified that I was not going to come out of that hospital.
Yeah.
Never saw her. That was the end of that relationship. There were other things that happened before then that I probably should have stepped away. Mm-hmm. But it was when you can't be there for me like I'm there for you. And now it's time for me to rest from being so much for everybody else. And I needed to be there for me. But it's so hard sometimes for us to do that. It's so hard for us just to step back and to choose to resist by resting and to heal what we got going on, because we so busy grinding, trying to make sure everybody else okay. Who making sure we all right?
I think a piece of that is you feel it's like a sense of guilt. Like, if I'm not there, they really need me. Like, it's like you kind of guilt trip yourself. And then I realized that's kind of a false.
If I'm not there, I need you to pay your deductible and go see somebody who got a couch. Go talk to them. Hi, Dr. Dotson. We were discussing. We were waiting on you, but you were on CPT
Hi.
or CFT.
No, I was resting.
Oh, so she don't literally. Oh, okay. She was
I was
resting. It was just
literally
okay.
resting because I worked 6 days this week,
Oh,
toss in some travel as well,
Oh, okay.
and your girl is a little tired. So
Okay.
I was
very
prioritizing
nice.
my rest.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you make it then, because I was like, where's she? Where's she at? Okay. But we're so
I'm
glad
here though. I'm here.
you're absolutely here. But yeah, we just had got started just talking about the topic for today. Um, one of the things that I do want us to talk about, especially as Black women, about our cultural obsession with hustling. Like we use that as like our badge of honor. That oh, I'm a hustle. I'm a always grind. I'm a always. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Well,
want
I
to.
mean, I think that's, again, something that's been passed on to us, right?
Yeah.
Generation after generation after generation is that, we have to be all of these things. Like our worth is tied somehow to our productivity. And we don't really embrace that we deserve rest as much as we do to hustle and be busy and be doing all of the things that everyone else thinks that we should be doing. So I think that's something that's been um, ingratiated in us over time, and we have to begin to break that cycle on our own.
Agreed.
How do we do that though? That's just been that's ingrained in us. Even back, like we talked last time about
Mhm.
as far back as slavery, the Black woman has been the backbone. When you see us in illustrations, when you see us in media, we are portrayed to be the strength and the backbone. We have been Olivia Pope before Olivia Pope was cool. We were brought in to handle it. We were going to be the ones that were going to put everything through. We were going to make it happen. We think about popular culture. We think about music. Talking about Mama made $1 out of 15 cents. We think about all these things, and that is how we are. That's our projection. That is who we are in media, in our culture. And now, when we get to the point where we say, "Listen, I'm tired. I don't want to. I ain't got it," we're seen as being lazy,
Mhm.
or we are too focused on this cultural term that has now become so popular about soft life and
Mhm.
wanting to live this soft life. So, I really want us to dig into that. Is like, I don't think there's anything wrong with me living a soft life,
Mm-hmm.
but I shouldn't be seen as being lazy because I
Right.
don't feel like
Absolutely.
uh, driving a tractor and hoeing a yard and growing my own vegetables and milking cows and having babies and cooking 4 5 meals a day. All this other stuff that people have in their mind that we're supposed to do as Black women. What do
Right.
we do with that?
Well, I think we have to deprogram, right? Like
Yeah.
we really have to deprogram our minds and our bodies from what we've always known, right? We have to move away or decenter the idea that exhaustion is that badge of honor that you were talking about, because
Right.
it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like we aren't machines, so we shouldn't be expected to behave as machines, right? And
Right.
so, in order for us to get there, we have to really start with a mindset shift, right? And then the body will start to follow. I think many times for us, particularly as Black women, we struggle with setting boundaries, which I think is also a part of the process, right? What are your boundaries and what are you going to say to others when there's no more capacity, right? When you've reached your bandwidth, do you enforce your boundaries? And I think for many of us, I know for me, and I know for you, Jazz, for sure, because I talk to you most of the three of us, um, we don't do that, right? We're constantly doing for others, even at
Yeah,
the detriment of ourselves.
for
And
sure.
so the boundary has to be in place. We have to be able to say no without the guilt that's
Mhm.
attached to it, and know that it's okay. Like tomorrow's another day. So everything doesn't have to be done today, this week, next week, this month. But I think so many times, because we have been, again, programmed to believe that idle hands are somehow a bad thing, we should be constantly doing. And so it starts there, I think, with just deprogramming our minds and setting boundaries. But
But do we need to begin with deprogramming ourselves or deprogramming the people that are so used to us being that for them? You know, so I think that it's on both sides.
it's both and.
Oh,
It's both and, right? It's you have to be okay with it, right? So your mind has to be in that place first, right? And then you have to set the tone for others. So if you're still hanging on to, but they need me, or I really should, or what are they going to think if I don't? If you're still there, then quite naturally they're going to be there too with the ask. And so it starts with you. Like, we have to do a better job of, again, shifting our own mindset, that we don't always have to be doing something. We can't save everyone. Even though we'd like to, we can't. And so I think when we do that first, we can then go to the people around us that are so used to us doing for them, and start to have those conversations. And I'll give you a perfect example. Just this week, I was talking to my mom, and I'm always helping my mom with things. And it's never that I mind helping her. But as I explained to her recently, I'm like, every day, literally at work, at home, and everywhere in between, I'm the person that everyone comes to. I'm the person that people are relying on to get things done. So while I want to help, sometimes I just need a moment. Can I have a moment? If I say that I just got home and you call me, even if I answer the phone and I say I just got home, can you be like, okay, well, call me later, instead of immediately launching into, well, I called you because I need, right? Because it's like I've been that all day for the last 8, 10, 12 hours. I need a breather. And so we have to get comfortable in ourselves enough to have the conversation with others.
Then you about to say something.
oh no, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm in a similar situation, but for me, I don't know about y'all. I have changed my mindset, but I'm there.
Like, I'm already there.
These are my boundaries. If I don't feel like going today, I'm not going. If I want to sit here and watch reruns of A Different World all day, that's what I'm going to do. But it's because I finally reached that burnout point, right? And it's just because I got there, and that's just what it is. But I will say I'm in a similar thing. I'm with my mother. Like, she's retired occupational therapist, and she likes to be on the go. Like, she's living her best life in retirement, and so I get pulled along in that a lot. And some days I'm like, I just want to rest. So I will say, when it comes to boundaries, my day to day, I have no issue. When it comes to certain people, yes, because for me, those are memories with my mom. A lot of times it's kind of where my mind goes, whether it's out shopping or doing different things with her, when we new restaurants, whatever it may be. And so I think about this, I laugh about it. Because you know how, like, they, especially when your parents retire, they say things like, how you raising your parents. So, like, I'm not raising my mother. She is fully capable and functional. She's better off than I am. But there are many times where I'm just like, ma'am, I just worked. I just want to lay down. But no, so like I don't want to miss out on those moments. So that's why I laughed at that. But I definitely have gotten to the point, the job, they get the boundaries. When it's time to go on vacation, we're going. You don't approve the time, you just don't approve the time. I will be wherever, but I'll be there, just so you know, right? And when it's come to like my friend group, again, they same thing. I'll be there, but if I can't, I can't. And so the boundaries have been created, but I do have some hope, and not only that for myself, but I think that stereotype is breaking because of this next generation. as much as they get on my nerves from a faculty and an academic perspective, they have some qualities that I appreciate. And they do have that, oh, I'm going to live a soft life. Oh, you're not gonna pay me what you think. If you're not gonna pay me what I asked for, I'm just not gonna work here. And they stand on business. And so I like that for them. But I think it's us and older generations that have to kind of really change that logic and change that mindset, because we are there. Like as a nurse, that's what I was taught. You keep the same job 20, 30 years, retire from there. You know, they not, these kids ain't doing that at all.
It's the difference is the head down versus the head up generation.
Mhm.
We were taught keep your head down, just do your work, just get it done, stay there, don't say too much. They keep their head up and will keep walking out the door if you're not doing what they want you to do. If you're not
Correct.
paying them, if you're not treating them with that respect, they out the door. And it's not like one of them things, oh, I have to stay at this job for a year. I have to stay at this job for this much time. No, they'll leave after they'll leave before the probation period is up and be on their way to the next thing. Our generation is just not like that.
Correct.
And it's funny because when we think about that family legacy and about how you don't stop until the work is done, because anything else is that pressure that comes from black, especially when it comes to black women laboring and us always being there, that even when the situation is bad, we're supposed to stay and stick it out. And we can run down the laundry list of those situations, whether it's work, church, your household, or shopping at Walmart, whatever. If it's bad, us as black women, we don't give up. The work don't stop. And that was my motto for so long. It still is. And sometimes the work don't stop. Why not? Why not? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sitting in Nebraska. I was in South Dakota last week. My flight was supposed to get me home Thursday night. It didn't. The weather was bad. I didn't get home until Friday night. I got home. I had to unpack my bag. And I slept in my house Saturday night. This morning, I had to get up and head back to the airport to catch this flight to get here to Nebraska. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, I'm back on the flight, headed back to Birmingham. I've got a meeting that I got to prepare for on Tuesday that's all day Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm back in conferences all day long. Let me not forget, Saturday, I did spend the night at home, but during the day, Saturday, I was in a training class where I was teaching people all day. So that means from Wednesday to right now, I have not stopped. And guess what? The semester is over. So I got final
work to do.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your week sounds like my week.
So I'm just sitting here like, what kind of gas am I on? Like I can't. But this
But
is
we
us. This is
do.
what we do.
It's the the conditioning, right? So it's again, we've been conditioned to believe that's what we're supposed to do. Like we don't stop. Like, and like I said, your week sounds like my week. I left Wednesday for New York, and it was a turnaround trip in New York all day Thursday. Got to the airport, flight delayed because the weather was bad in Atlanta. I didn't get home until 12:30, almost 1 a.m. I had to be back up at 6 because I had a 2-day retreat, Friday and Saturday, all day long, 9 to 5. So today, when I was like, I'm prioritizing rest, I really was, because it's like, I got to be back at work tomorrow. Like, no time has passed. And it's never ending because it's the travel, it's the be here, do this, go there, take care of this group, do this for this person. Oh, and by the way, I need you over there. And it's this constant cycle. But I think if we're really thinking about how we show up as our best selves, which is what we tell ourselves all the time. And granted, our best is probably better than 80% of others, right?
On a bad day, baby.
On a bad day.
We
right?
outperform some folks on their best day. We do.
Right,
Let's just be honest about that. We do.
right. That's
We do.
real. And so, but we still feel the need to keep doing
Yeah,
somehow.
you feel like you have to perform at a certain level. Like
You have to be at a certain
Absolutely.
level. You got to be doing a certain amount of task or executing
right.
here, there, wherever. And I don't think, if we're being fair to ourselves, that we can continue in that way,
No,
because we are going to reach a place of burnout.
Yep.
We
absolutely.
are going to reach a place where what we give will not be sufficient.
Right.
And when it starts to show up in that manner, it's going to cost something. And the question becomes, what is that price? And is it too high to pay?
What is the rate of rest or the lack of it?
Yeah.
Trisha Hersey in the nap ministry talks about you're not a machine, stop grinding. And there is so much shame and guilt tied to doing nothing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel I gotta be made to feel bad because I just want like that, like Dr. Brad just said, I just want to sit here in my pajamas, sit in this style on this bed and watch TV. I don't want to talk. I want to turn his phone off. I don't want to look. I don't want to do. I don't want to do anything. I
Right.
don't want. The
Right.
cats can get out. I just want to sit here. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to answer an email. I don't want to hear the phone buzz. I don't want to hear email. Nothing. I just want to sit here.
Just want to say
And that's where I got to the point that because I'm in front of a computer Monday through Friday. If I'm not in front of a computer, I'm in front of people. Saturday and Sunday, I don't want to look at a laptop. I don't want to look at. I barely want to look at my phone, and that's just because I'm literally tired of just electronics by the weekend come.
Mm.
Right, so if I can get away from it, I will. But that's just from doing school, being on a laptop, work on a laptop. But I will say this is where I need to create boundaries myself, and I think and then y'all can kind of relate. We have a tendency, especially as Black educated women with all these degrees, we have a tendency to not know when to stop with the degrees.
Oh, I know when to stop. I know when.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
okay,
right.
I'm done.
But I'm not even meaning just the degrees, because then we doing certifications.
Well, okay, I do that. I do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I
exactly.
was gonna say you talking to Jasmine. I'm
Thank
thinking,
you. I'm talking to myself because that's what I call her every week, and I'm like, what? So I'm working on an MBA. I literally have 2 classes left, and I'm just like, why? What what made you say I need to get an MBA today? And I did. I don't know why. I know why, but I don't. It wasn't logical. It's just pursuing more. Like we've already achieved a certain level, but it's that I got to do more. I got to keep going. So that's where I know for me, I need to create some boundaries.
But it's so funny that we do that and we pursue those things, and then there are people that are in higher level jobs with bachelor's degrees in basketball weaving.
Mm-hmm.
It's so irritating to me.
Not bad.
It's about anybody else. I done worked this hard for all this, and you done went over here to Auburn and got a degree in animal husbandry, and now you're the CEO of a hospital. What?
I can't stand you.
she's so silly.
I'm just saying. The truth is the truth.
It is the truth, 100%.
But because we associate that productivity with value. We think that the more letters we get, the more degrees we get, the more of all these things that we get, it is associated with value. My value is tied to that productivity, and not just me knowing how to do these things. I got about 72 letters behind my name. I still
Indeed, you do.
right. And we do. But what's the value to
Indeed, you do.
But what's the value to people that could care less about these letters? They don't even know what it means. They don't know anything about it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be exhausted and in debt trying to do so much and keep going full steam among people who really could care less. That's why it's time to set those boundaries and rest.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
definitely from that. I can tell you that.
yeah,
So
that's a
go
deep
ahead.
observation. But I was gonna say, Sonia Renee Taylor has a quote that says, "Resting is not something we do once we fixed everything wrong with the world. Resting is how we give ourselves the capacity to imagine a world where we are already whole."
Right.
And I think for Black women, for so long, we have not been viewed as whole beings anyway, right? Like automatically out of the gate. And so embracing the concept still feels like something we have to get to. And the only way we get there is to do more. And I really would love, myself included, to see us move away from that, because I
Right.
think our ancestors are really begging us to move away from that. If
Right.
we think about how they had to steal moments of rest, right?
Yeah.
I think they're wanting us to recognize that we are free now. Like we don't have to keep doing that. And so at what point do we lay it down?
Mm-hmm. Because look at the data that shows the relationship between overworking and overproduction and your health disparities, anxiety and depression, not just the psychological impact, but even the real life health impact. When you can't control your diet and what you eat, now you're dealing with diabetes, you're dealing with obesity, you're dealing with, your hypertension. It's so
Mhm.
much stuff that's associated with the choices that we make because we put the needs of others before our own. And
Very.
it takes a toll on our mind and our body. When
Mhm.
I was up to 325 pounds, it was because I had to get my work done. I wasn't worried about working out. I was worried about getting the work done. I was worried about getting everything checked off my little list. I got this list in my phone that I put my general to-do list in there, and everything on that list got to be finished. I'm still guilty of making that list. But I
Mhm.
promise you, it's some stuff been on that list for a year. It's not gonna get done until I have time to get it done and I
Yeah.
can invest in it because I refuse to put myself in that situation again. The first time I was in the hospital for a month, that fracture that no, that was the blood disorder that I had the first time. It was acquired, and it was acquired because my autoimmune system basically stopped recognizing my platelets as a part of my body, and it was induced by, in part, stress because I was trying to do so much. But I could tell you when I was in the hospital, I had a Hickman cath in my neck. That's where we did plasma exchanges every day for a month. I was still writing and still doing research for my graduate project in my doctoral program. I was still teaching. I would get up. I would put a scarf on. I would do my lecture while they were still doing my plasma exchange. By the time that hour was over of me teaching, they would be done with my plasma exchange, and I would go to sleep until the next class meeting that night at 6 o'clock. I did that twice a week because the work didn't stop. Then
Insanity.
that's it, and it was insanity. It absolutely was. And so the second time when I had my well, let me say this, and then I ended up doing 6 weeks of chemo. I had to do 6 weeks of 80 milligrams of steroids, and then I had to do something else I had to do. Anyway, face huge. I couldn't even function. And I
Mhm.
realized, if you die, your job gonna be posted by the end of the week, right?
Right. The same day.
So that second time when I got sick, and I had a skull fracture due to increased intracranial hypertension. I just thought I was having bad headaches. I thought I was just stressed out trying to finish school. No, baby, you're not taking care of yourself. So you have increased intracranial hypertension. The brain pressure was so high, you have a skull fracture, and you have brain matter seeping into your sphenoid sinuses. That don't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but basically what it means is you over here living on ibuprofen
Mhm.
and acetaminophen, thinking it's just a headache, and you literally was this close to losing your sight. And my
Mhm.
doctor basically said, either you lose this weight, or we're going to, number one, we're going to have to put a shunt in, and number two, this is going to come back. And I had to make a decision to take care of me. Now, you want to talk about rest being resistance? not only did I have to lose them 110 pounds, I also had to learn how to delegate and learn how to say no.
That's a different thing. That's rest is survival.
Rest is survival.
Wow.
So sometimes, this right here, I do this because I fly in, I do my little speech, I do my presentation, and I love talking about leadership. That's what I talk about. So it's not something that I'm doing that I don't enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. It's really just running from gate to gate through O'Hare. It really had my tail tied, but it's something that I love to do. But when it ever gets to the point to where I feel like my body is shutting down, I don't mind saying, "Hey, I can't. I ain't able to do that. I'm not gonna be able to." Because what happens if I end up back in the hospital? What happens?
Yeah.
The bills don't stop. The work don't stop, but the bills don't stop. Tyler still, he still at 25, he still need his mama right now a little bit. The cat still needs somebody to put water in their bowl, and Jasmine still needs somebody to be here for her. So,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like jet setting a little bit. It'd be some good looking men in the airport, but when I get tired, hang on.
I like how you turn to that. Like they right there.
Who has time to look at the good looking men in the airport?
I do with these 2-hour layovers.
That decreases stress.
Decreases stress a little bit.
Stress. Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. You're funny.
So, so tell me a time when you got to your breaking point. Now, I told you about mine, with my 2 sick spells that wasn't like little sick. We ain't talking about no sinus infection, no colds. I was literally in the hospital in 2 terrible situations. What were your breaking points that really made you say, you know what, I'm done. I can't. I got to choose me. What was your breaking point? We'll start with you, LaDana.
My breaking point was when both professional and personal collided. Like, you just felt like the whole world is imploding and nothing is going right. Mm-hmm. So stressed at the job, whatever they had me doing at the time. And I was fighting. I remember I was fighting with HR, I was fighting with my leaders. It was nonstop unrest, right? And then on a personal life, though, basically I was in a relationship. It didn't work out. 3 months later, he unexpectedly passes away.
Okay, that ain't the one I was trying to go. Okay, you're right.
No.
Okay.
And so that I was already, devastated, heartbroken. But to then have this person to pass away unexpectedly while you're grieving already. Mm-hmm. Now, within his untimely death, it was one of those things that everything I thought I was seeing in the relationship came out in death. So I got all the proof I ever needed, but had already walked away from the situation. So it was just hard because I knew I would never speak to him again, but not because he would die. So at that moment, I just remember feeling like you're not okay. And I don't think I ever had that mental health moment where I'm just like, yeah, you're not okay. And that, I remember I was sitting here. I want to say I had talked to you, Jazz, but I was sitting in this room actually, which I don't ever come in here other than to work. And I was like, I don't know what you about to do, but you're not okay. And I called one of my line sisters and I was like, I need a therapist. Scheduled an appointment that day. And I get anxiety attacks, but they don't look like your typical, like I can sit here on this podcast with you and have a whole anxiety attack and you'll never know. I know how to control them very well. And so, but I throw PVC. So for anyone who knows, it's premature ventricular contractions. Feels like your heart is hiccuping. That lets me know when I'm having an anxiety attack. And I kept throwing PVCs left and right. And so at that point, that was really when I made my boundaries with work. Because from a mental health standpoint, I see how people break. I never felt that before. I see how people lose their mind and go crazy. And that was scary to feel like things you've seen before, that can be you. Like, Because you see things on TV, you see other people, you see family members, you're like, that's not me. That would never happen to me. In that moment, oh yes, I could have definitely lost my mind. But what caught me was the fact I did have friends and family around. And I started doing the work that I needed to do, whether I wanted to do it or not. But one thing that came from me going to therapy was that's a part of my routine now. Like I had never been to a therapist before that. That became something I did for myself, just like going to the spa. That's what she is for me. That's one of those items that I have to do for myself. And I feel perfectly healthy, fine right now. I'm good on that situation, mentally fine. But I like going to a therapist because that helps me feel like I'm doing something for LaDana. That's what's keeping me even keeled. And so, but that was my moment where I'm like, I can't. It's no way. So when it came to work, that's when the boundaries got set. When it came to personal life, especially relationships and dating, that's when those boundaries got set because of that situation.
Okay. All right. Dr. Dodson, what was your breaking point?
Who I've had many. I've had many, but I think the one that sticks out in my mind the most was in 2023, and it was kind of like how Dr. Badger said the professional and the personal collided.
Mm.
Um, I think it was, obviously unintentional, right? Because my work was stressful in and of itself. I had a boss who really didn't prioritize rest, and so that meant others around her. It didn't feel like we were allowed to prioritize rest because there was always something to do. And in the spring of that year, my father passed away out of nowhere. And in the back of my mind, I'm hearing her talk about a deliverable or text my phone and say, well, when are you coming back to work? As I'm sitting in the cemetery picking out a plot for my father. And so it was kind of like, say what now? Because I feel like I know I put a message together that said that my father just passed away not even 24 hours ago. Why are you asking me about anything work related? And so to deal with that, like really manage that process, grieve, as Dr. Badger said, but then still be expected to show up. And in the midst of all of that, like helping to settle his affairs and help my mom and all the things, literally 2 months to the day after my father passed away, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And so it was kind of like, okay, God, what's up? Like, what's happening? Because all of the things were happening simultaneously. And I'm one of those people that no matter what's happening, I just keep going, just figure it out, just keep moving. And I think it was kind of like, yeah, this ain't working. Because even though I was going through the motions, I wasn't present. And that was my cue as well to go back to therapy because I had been in therapy, but that was my cue to go back. And so now it's like that's just a part of my weekly routine. Like it's embedded, it's ingrained. So no matter whether I feel like I'm healed, I'm better, I'm feeling good, life is good, that's still something that I do for me. Because even if nothing is wrong, it's still nice to have a neutral party to talk to bounce ideas or scenarios off of and be like, well, how would you handle that? How do you think I should address that? And so that's something I don't compromise on. I don't care what I got going on. I could have a meeting, I won't be there because I have a standing appointment. I can come early, we can shift it, or we can do it later. But I'm not missing this time. And so no matter what is going on, that is something that I prioritize because it helps me to deal with and not reach that place again. Now, as I jokingly said, I have many a breaking point. I feel like I have those mini moments, right, where things are starting to collide. But because I am doing the work, I can recognize when those things are on, like when they're bubbling to the surface. And it's kind of like, okay, pause, time out, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
So this is not a very easy thing for me to talk about. Um, I am a helper by just nature. You know, y'all know me. If I can help you, I will. You know, and I make jokes about showing up in the black Air Max with a Pooh Shiesty mask on and whipping whoever I need to for you. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally help others so much. And it becomes for me to where I have given so much of myself to so many people that wasn't doing that for me. And when I started to kind of replay the past 40 something years of my life, and I thought about the struggles that I had from childhood when I told family about my immediate family about me being um, touched inappropriately by a family member, and they told me not to say anything about it, to ruffle feathers, and not to keep up no confusion in the family. But then somebody else it happened to, and this man ended up getting prison time. They were so supportive of the family. When I was sexually assaulted on my job by a security guard and was told not to press charges because his kids didn't deserve to grow up without a dad like my son was growing up without a dad. When I kept thinking about being told you ain't cute and you ain't fine and don't nobody want you, you better be happy with whoever you can get. And I was just like, I started replaying all of these things. And it was just like the very people that I was helping so much and giving so much to were the very people that were saying things to me that was literally killing me.
Right.
Like I felt like that's what it was. Now I put on a good face. I could look like I had it together. But I literally remember telling my pastor and my therapist, I need some help. I don't want to die, but I don't want to live like this. So somebody got to help me do something. Um, and that's how I ended up like going back to therapy. And I really just had to rehash a lot of this stuff. I really had to just uncover a lot of this stuff. And matter of fact, my first two books that I wrote, I talked about this stuff because I had to get that out because it was causing a wedge and it was really causing a disconnect for me to where it wasn't that I was doing things for people because I wanted to help. I was trying to get some validation. I was trying to do it because I was still that little girl standing in that kitchen with them two ponytails trying to convince somebody that I was good enough and I was pretty enough and I was smart enough. And I never felt that way. It was not until I realized you can do a million things for a million people and somebody's still gonna think you're not. It's not about what they think, it's about what you think about yourself.
Right.
Then I started to do these things for other people and do things for myself because I was more concerned with the greater good than I was the validation. That was my breaking point because it wasn't no rest. I was going to go to every meeting. I was going to take on every task. I was going to do everything because I just wanted somebody to say, good job. We're so glad to have you. We're so happy for you. We're so this, but I wasn't happy for myself because I still felt like, but I'm still not pretty. I'm still not smart. I still had this stuff happen to me. I still don't feel supported. And it was exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And so my compassion And my care for other people was more rooted in me trying to make up for what I didn't have than it was me really trying to be there for somebody else. Now, in this later part of my life, I'm riding for my people because I understand the people that ride for me. I
Absolutely.
had a party. LaDana was there. Even I didn't even know you at the time, but I had a party. The party cost me $30,000. I had 3 days of events. I had a Friday night where I shut down a distillery. I rented it out and had a uh, meet and greet. I paid
Mhm.
for every drink. I paid for all the food. That Saturday, I had a red carpet, black tie event. I invited just about everybody I've had any dealing with, good and bad, for the past probably 25 years. That Saturday, I rented out another restaurant. Had a brunch. I paid for everything. All they had to do was show up. And that weekend, it served as a welcome home for some and a farewell for others. So my circle of those 250 plus people that showed up, I may talk to six of them.
Oh,
But
wow.
my life is in such a better place now. It's because I'm not as exhausted, because I'm giving to the people that give back to me. So
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
was my that was my uh somebody better help me before I take myself out of here. Like
Yeah.
that was it for me.
Yeah. No, that's deep. But I
Mhm.
think that's the story of so many women,
Yeah.
particularly Black women.
Yeah.
And many times we hold on to it because we don't feel it's something that we can share.
Yeah.
Or if we are vulnerable enough to share it, is anybody really listening? Does anybody really care enough to embrace me once I share my truth? And I think that too contributes to our exhaustion.
Oh
Um,
yes. I was
yeah,
tired. I
yeah,
was tired.
yeah.
But I would keep going because I didn't want to disappoint nobody. I didn't want to make nobody feel like wasn't nobody there for them, but I wasn't being there for me. So it wasn't genuine.
Mhm.
It was performative.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
I, but
It
you know,
ain't
I think
me.
so many times when people hear the word tired, we think physical, right?
Yeah.
Um, but mental exhaustion, I tell people all the time, is a thing. It's a thing.
Mhm.
And the spirit can be tired, the mind can be tired, and the body can be tired. Imagine when all three are tired at the same time.
Right.
You reach
Deadly
a
combination.
right. It's bad because you reach a place of pure exhaustion.
Mhm.
And I think that is the place, especially Black women. I think that's the place where most of us operate from. Even if we don't realize it, even if we don't know how to name it, most of us are going from day to day, really operating from that place. Our bodies are tired, our spirits are tired, and our minds are tired because they're always going, they're always moving, they're always trying to do something, not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, our jobs, our communities. The list just goes on, our churches, everything. And I know for me, I've reached a place where recently I just had to start pulling back. Like anybody who knows me knows I love my church. Um, and I always want to serve. But I recently had to say, you know what? I can't do this right now.
Mhm.
So the things that I've committed to, I need to take a step back. And one of those was in the women's ministry. I was a squad leader of other women. And it was something that initially was like, I really want to do this. I want to show up. I want to be here for other women. And I want to grow in Christ with women who also want to grow in Christ. And it was like, but it was hard because it was so many things that needed to be done. And I found myself constantly trying to execute that, but then execute at work, execute on my part time job, execute at home. Like, and it was like, you know what? Something's got to go. And I literally had to put in my resignation because it was like, this is not effective. I'm not being effective. And if I know that I'm not being effective, then someone else knows as well. And so let me put this down. It doesn't mean that I can't come back to it later. But right now in this season, I need to let this go. And so I found myself doing that a lot more lately, of really examining, is that something that you really need to do? Does it have to be done right now? And if the answer is no, putting it to the side.
Yeah.
And I think if we do more of that, we can start to create a pattern where we are better prioritizing ourselves and rest. Because otherwise, we're just going to be in this perpetual cycle.
What are some other things, like aside from the boundary, stepping back from things? What would you say is like your regimen of rest for you?
Um, I think for me, it's being able to, like I said, say no without um, any apology. But also, I think prioritizing doing something nice for myself, like not therapy, not like going to bed on time, like not that, but like truly something that I enjoy. Like, I love to travel. I love to dine out at nice restaurants, and I love to read. And so those are things that are very near and dear to me. So I try to prioritize taking a trip that's mine, not a work trip,
Mhm.
but me saying every quarter I'm going to take a trip for me, something that I do. Um, I try to go generally on Sundays. I try to go to brunch. So I'll go to Sunday service and then go to brunch by myself. And I will make a reservation for one, and I will go and just enjoy a really nice meal
Mm-hmm.
and quiet time. Because in a world that is so loud, it is rare that we have a moment where it's just quiet. Nobody's asking for anything. I will make sure my phone is on do not disturb. Nobody's asking for anything. Nobody's looking for me. Nobody needs anything. And I can just enjoy my meal, maybe have a cocktail, and just sit in silence. And the bookstore. I love the bookstore. I can spend hours in a bookstore where I just want to see what new book is it that I can read, or what's popular, what's out. And I probably am going to leave the bookstore with 5, 10, 12 books. But that is something for me that I get to do. And it feels like rest. It feels like something that is just for me. It's sacred and holy ground for me. And I don't need to ask anybody for permission to do it. I just do it. And so I think we have to get in the habit of identifying what those things are. And I know for me, my therapist asked me, this was last year, at the top of the year, she was like, what is something that you really enjoy doing that you don't feel you do enough of? And at the time it was reading, because I had gotten away from reading for pleasure. I read for
Mm-hmm.
work all the time,
Right.
but just reading for enjoyment, I hadn't been able to do. And so she said, I want you to commit to reading for enjoyment. Not because you have to do something for work, not because you need to read this article because your students are reading it. What do you like? What do you want to read because you enjoy reading? And commit to that. Set a goal and commit to it. And I did. Now, I didn't really reach my reading goal, but I did better than I've done in a really long time in
Towards it.
terms of actually getting to a place of just sitting down and reading a book. And so it's like I think I said a goal of reading 60 books. I think I actually ended up reading 42. So I came close, but it was for me. And I hadn't been able to do that in a long time. And so it's like now it's just a part of the routine. I need to read a book. And so whenever I get a moment, I want to read, even if I don't get to read but 15 or 20 pages. That's my time. So I think those are the kinds of things that for me say I'm putting myself and my rest at the forefront.
I like
I was over here looking for a whole list of things that I started to do to take care of myself. And I guess I must have deleted it. Either that means I ain't doing it. Cause
Look,
that.
look, you get the side eye.
I probably, but you know what? I don't feel like that I'm doing enough that I need to take a break from doing. What am I doing? I mean,
Lies.
what am I doing? Tell me what I'm doing.
You always doing something, Jazz. You always working. You always teaching. You always traveling for work, not for
I'm
enjoyment.
traveling for work. I
You
teach
always.
for work because
Um,
I enjoy teaching. Teaching is a joy,
we both enjoy teaching, but that doesn't mean that you got to do it all the time.
but I like to shop all the time. So what else am I doing?
So that's the part of your rest is the shopping.
Is the shopping. But
Shopping.
this is the
You
thing.
know, your friend Dr. Dyson did put me on like a performance improvement plan, and I couldn't buy no
Shopping.
shoes for a while.
And she didn't stick to it.
I
Oh,
did.
Ladator, so don't even worry about
Not
it.
at all. Not
so
at
you
all.
gotta fail that performance
I
review.
did.
Even
I did.
listen,
I'm
she
trying to.
tried. Okay.
Because I mean, I did. My therapist had sent it to me, and I had it over here on my phone, and I don't know what I did with it. But like, there were some things like this is what you need to do. Not, and it's not like regular stuff. Not like go to bed. Not like
Right.
eat right. No, this was like this is what you do. Whether it's go to bed at 9 o'clock and turn your phone off and watch Golden Girls till you fall asleep. I do that anyway, but
Right.
there were
Right.
just some things that I had that I do because
Uh,
it's important for us to do some things just to disconnect and just to give back to
On the
us,
list.
give back to ourselves. And I'm gonna just tell you this, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but as a practicing theologian, reading devotionals and Bible study is not restful for me.
it's like work for you. I mean, I get that. I can
Because
understand different from that.
And
yeah,
that's okay though.
yeah, when I
Yeah.
read some of that stuff that people be writing, talking about devotional, I be like, that's a lie. That ain't even what that mean. That
Oh
not
my
so
God.
that's no longer relaxation for me. That's work.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
So that's one of the things I actually do. Well, so no, what I do not. I'm not. I am not holier than thou. I am working on my relationship with the Lord. So
Understood.
that is a part of my rest. But so I'm in Bible study. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
be feeling like I go to Bible study for a week or two, and I be like, yeah, I'm better than y'all. I go to Bible study. That's my. I really be feel like I'm doing something.
That's hilarious.
But like,
I
oh,
just
see,
feel
I
like I'm
already know
really,
these things. You're not telling
I'm
me.
working on my
Hey,
walk with Christ.
yeah.
I'm doing something.
Hey, well,
I'm
people be
proud of
saying
myself.
right. People say stuff like, "Cause when you give your life to Christ, then you give up poverty and sickness." I'm like, that's a lie. You're still poor, sick people that believe in Jesus. What are you talking about?
They ain't read the Old Testament because of
Yeah.
poverty, all that's in there. That's in
Yeah,
both.
the poor will always be among us, baby.
They was among them. They
Exactly.
among us now.
Yeah. So it's not a rest for me. But listen. I started a new book today
Oh,
that really was like very relaxing, and it was just like as they were. I did it on Audible because I was listening to it on the phone on the airplane. But it is called The Polished Hoe. Have y'all ever heard of that book?
you needed to prep us for that title.
The who?
The Polished Hoe.
Oh, I thought you said hope. Girl, good day.
No, the polished hoe. HOE.
I got it now.
See,
You just keep repeating it.
that's the name of the book.
I'm aware. I just wasn't expecting that. Like I don't know what I was expecting. It just wasn't that.
This is the thing. You never know what to expect with Jasmine. So, it's just one of them things.
I'm just gonna write the book down so I can go read
Yeah,
it, see what it's
I,
about.
I added to my list.
yeah. The polished hoe. Don't forget the subtle art of not giving a
I
f.
have that. I read
Okay.
that. You have you read the second one?
and then everything is F up. Everything is
Yes.
F. Get that one too.
Everything is it. Yes.
These are good books.
Those are good books.
Crazy.
Those are good
But the
books.
Polished Hoe was real good. And another one that I got was Mrs. Wiggins. It's about a black woman in a lavender marriage.
Oh Lord.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm just
Mm.
writing down books because I'll buy them, but I don't read them.
You need to just do like I do and get Audible and stop wasting your money and just listen to them books. Because you
I,
ain't gonna
I
sit
actually
there.
like literally reading, like reading, but
But
I have not had the time, so I just stack books until then. And
that
then
means you have commitment issues, huh?
I don't appreciate you trying to read me like that, though.
Oh, sorry. I can
I
only
do
I see things in you that I see in myself.
Mm.
I, I definitely have them. I do. Now, that's really a great segue into what I would like for us to talk about on our next session.
Okay.
You know, in the past, previous generations have always been very male centered. You know, marriage and getting married has been a part of our life, but there are some of us that do definitely indeed have commitment issues. So I think that we need to talk about our current generation and how things have changed, especially with Black women being among some of the most educated, some of the most fiscally and financially sound. Um, Boaz is dead. Boaz was married to somebody that needed some help, and she got it because, you know, as a practicing scholar, let me just let you know that the euphemism for feet in the Old Testament is genitalia. So she went down there, she got up under that blanket, and she did what she needed to do to secure the bag. Let's talk about these things. So on our next session, that is what we will dive into.
Okay. Send us the outline. I don't think I'm ready. I feel like that needs to be like podcast 6 or something.
I think we need well, okay, well,
that one in later.
but I do think we need to talk about it because we're seeing so much of that, especially, you know, Kevin. We just saw Kevin Gates marrying Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner is one of the biggest gold diggers of all time, married to him now.
Mm.
And, you know, there are still some of us that are still in search of, but then there are also those of us that are like Oprah, who said that she didn't marry Stedman because she knew she couldn't have the life that she has now if she had been married. So let's talk about both sides of it. Let's talk about how there are still some of us that feel like that is our saving grace. That is our great hope, is to get hitched. But then there are others of us that are like, I can't have the life that I want if I'm tied to somebody else. Let's have a healthy discussion and debate about that. You ain't got to pick a side. Just standing, just let's just talk about it.
I got that.
That's why I was like, I was sitting here thinking about my side as you said all that. That's all.
Yeah,
But
it ain't that I don't want it, but what do I want more?
mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
That's what I mean. What do I want? And then especially since I'm about to retire and become a rapper. I mean,
Bars, you finna blow it.
What's gonna be your name though?
huh?
Have you came up with a
Listen,
name?
I don't know what her name gonna be.
Dr. J.
Dr.
Dr.
J.
J.
Okay.
Mhm. I did the whole song. I posted the whole song. I tagged y'all on TikTok.
Okay, I gotta go back and listen.
I didn't know either. Even I found out today.
Well, she sent me a snippet. I knew I had a.
Well, that's a snippet, but I didn't know she did the whole. Lord.
I didn't know about the new song, but the whole song. But I go back and listen.
Yeah, my ex-husband told me stop saying the S word so much, so I had to go back and fix it.
Why are we listening to him?
He's so intrusive, like he's somebody that.
X for a reason.
He's so
Why are we
intrusive.
listening to him? And I hope he listening so he can hear me say, "I ain't your friend."
He's so intrusive. He tells me what I thinks I should do all the time.
But and why are we listening though?
Why do I listen to him?
Yes.
Well, if considering the fact, and once you hear the lyrics, that it talks more about how Southern women, despite all the hate, have been able to excel and do well. I feel like with the rest of the song, taking it out and then being able to use it in a more widespread is a good deal. I mean, it was a good trade. So I just say ish instead of this. That's it. That's it.
No,
Definitely having it.
nope. I can tell
But
now. I ain't even gonna
we'll,
like it.
we'll do the radio version, and we'll do the gangster version. But yeah,
Radio.
and you also had to realize my ex-husband
It's on the
still
radio
living.
now. You ain't know.
It ain't on the radio.
They do.
My
It's on the radio now.
can you say the S word on the radio?
Yeah, you could say. Listen, you could say SOB and the F
Anything.
word and everything, even on primetime TV now. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Like on NBC primetime TV. So yeah, you could. Yeah. Mm-mm.
But yeah,
So
but
again,
you got to
why
realize
we
my
listening?
ex-husband still sings with a gospel quartet. So
Girl, why is we
his
listening?
music tastes a little bit different than.
Why are we listening to the ex-husband?
That's
Help
a
me.
topic in itself.
That's probably another whole time.
Right.
I have
Yeah.
commitment issues. I don't want to be with nobody, but the only person I talk to is my ex-husband. But when he said,
To
"Hey,
do
we should
something
just get
about that.
remarried," I'm like, "Boy, please, absolutely not. No."
See, so if you feel like that, why are you talking to him?
Because I talk to you don't mean I want to be with you.
But he's an ex for a reason. We supposed to dead that.
Well, I'll say this: he's an ex for a good reason. We never should have been married. We should have just been friends. He's a great friend. He's a terrible husband. Like he was one of those men that wants a trad wife. He wanted a traditional wife. He wanted to cook and clean, and my husband is the best thing in the world. But then the woman that he left me for, the trad wife, while he would be doing all this work, she had a whole nother situation going on. And like I told him, at least I wasn't cheating on you. I was too busy. I was working and doing my homework. So
And not resting.
and not resting.
It's just
Clearly.
you know.
And not resting.
So,
Oh,
so
Father.
we're friends, but we're not. Cause like, no. Mm-mm. But yes. Anyway, out of that rabbit hole, the song is posted, and I shared.
I'm gonna check it out after this. When I get off of this,
Go listen.
and I get in my PJs, that's what I'm gonna do. Is listen to the song and see what you're talking about. And I'll let you know if I get 1 star or 5 stars.
Oh,
Because I don't know if I like the influence of the X on the lyrics.
he done already deducted you some stars.
I already did
How long
these
the song?
stars.
5. At least the 4, 3.5 might be the max at this point.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm torn.
Let's go listen to the song. Okay.
I'm gonna go listen
Okay,
to it.
we're
I
good.
am.
We are.
And let us close with this statement, which was very profound.
Oh wait, before we do
you
that, I had some other book recommendations.
Okay, give me a book recommendation, then I'm gonna give you this statement, and I gotta go grade these doggone paper.
The Body Is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. All About Love by Bell Hooks. And The Salt Eaters. It's a novel about rest, healing, and collective care by Tony Bambara.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Here's our statement. You don't have to earn rest. You just have to honor that you deserve it.
I like that.
We all deserve it. So get some rest. I'm gonna go rest for about 15 minutes, and I'm gonna go back and grade these papers.
I need you to practice what you preach.
No. Jasmine.
Class ends tonight. I ain't got no choice. I gotta get to
Oh my God. Okay, well, I got this one. One
I
more.
tried to get them grade last night, but after I got home late Friday, it just kind of threw things off. So I'm gonna get them done.
All right. Well, this is the closing affirmation. I got an affirmation.
Okay.
I am worthy of rest.
Well,
My body deserves tenderness. My spirit flourishes in stillness. I release the lies that tell me my worth is tied to my work. I honor myself through sacred rest. That's for you, Jasmine.
I need that to put somewhere.
All right.
Text that to us so we can put that.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Yeah, have a good night. It's always a pleasure. See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I hope I'm still here in 2 weeks. Wait a minute. And make sure I ain't in the air nowhere in 2 weeks. What's the date?
Look,
2 weeks.
where you gonna be?
Right.
What's the date?
2 weeks will be next week is the 4th, it'll be 11.
Oh yeah, I don't leave till after. I'll be here. I don't leave against the 15th, so I'm good.
Yes, Mother's Day is FYI.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, it is.
You can't do that. You're trying to get us in trouble.
Well,
Y'all want to do the next week?
I don't know. We'll discuss.
We'll discuss it and we'll post the day. Thank you to our 3 loyal listeners that have stayed with us. Mwah, mwah. Much love to you from the Lady Docs. And we will get the flyer updated to say Dr. LaDana Badger is a part of Lady Docs when she brings herself to Alabama or Atlanta, and we can get all in the same place.
Yes.
Thanks.
Love it.
All right. Y'all have a great week. Talk to you soon.
All right. You too.
All right.
Good night.